For 65 years, negotiations to bring peace to the Middle East have failed. This week, the Quartet of Middle East negotiators, the U.S., UN, European Union, and Russia, meets in Washington to discuss the stalled peace process and has called for a resumption of Israeli-Palestinian talks and for a framework agreement by the end of 2012. The quartet principals, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, European Union Foreign Policy Chief Catherine Ashton, and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov are scheduled to meet at Blair House in Washington. President Mahmoud Abbas from the Palestinian Authority said Sunday he will ask the UN General Assembly to recognize Palestinian statehood if the peace talks fail. To better understand what is happening in the Middle East, we have begun a series of conversations with UN ambassadors. Earlier with Israeli Ambassador Ron Prosser, and today we speak with the permanent observer for the mission of Palestine to the United Nations, Ambassador Riyad Mansour. Ambassador Mansour is a Palestinian-American diplomat who was born in Palestine and educated at the University of Akron and Youngstown State University and has received his PhD. I'm Pamela Falk for CBS News. Thank you for being with us. Ambassador Mansour, my question is, these quartet negotiations, what is the status? Are they going to succeed? What do you see?
We hope that the quartet can succeed in getting the impasse, getting the negotiation out of the impasse that we are going through. And we truly believe that if the quartet succeed in bringing Israel into compliance with the position of the quartet, with what was articulated by the quartet on the statement of the 23rd of September of last year, in which basically is saying that the occupation that started in 1967 that should end and a two-state solution should take place on more or less the borders of the 4th of June of 1967, with adjustment of the border acceptable to both sides, and Jerusalem to be the capital of the two states, and a just solution agreed upon to the refugee question on the basis of international law. If the quartet finds a way to bring Israel to respect these global consensus issues, so then we can open doors for negotiation on all final status issues, the 6 of them: borders, security, Jerusalem, settlement, water issues, and refugees. From our side, we are committed to negotiate in good faith all these issues, and we were asked by the quartet to begin by negotiating borders and security. With regard to borders, we said that we are willing, and we did submit in writing our position in the rounds of talks in Jordan, that we are willing to have an exchange of borders in the vicinity of 1.9% of the total area of the West Bank. And with regard to security, we said that we are willing to accept third party, meaning UN forces, a combination of UN, NATO forces, all of them to be on our border, but we will not accept to have a single Israeli soldier to remain on Palestinian soil, because we want to end the occupation that started in 1967. The Israeli side is refusing to abide by this global consensus, and as a result of that, and as a result of their continuous illegal action and behavior in building illegal settlements and bringing more thousands and thousands of Israeli population and to inject them on our land in settlements, these illegal facts on the ground are making it very difficult, almost impossible, to open doors for negotiation between us and the Israelis, and to succeed if we open doors for negotiation. So that this is the task before the quartet. They have to show some resolve, and they have to show serious commitment to these principles that they articulated, and to find ways to bring Israel into compliance to their commitments under international law and the roadmap, so that we can negotiate with them peace treaty and to reach it by the end of this year.
All right, we'll go back to the specifics. But overall, the quartet negotiations have stalled. Those 5 rounds, we were both on the Secretary General's trip to the Middle East in January. The Jordan initiative has failed. Where are, and Israel believes that both sides should sit down together without preconditions. So there seems to be an impasse. Where do all of these talks stand? Are they going forward? Are they stopped? What do you think?
I think that, the Israelis, they have to make up their mind. They cannot negotiate peace and take illegally our land to build settlements. Settlements and peace are contradiction in terms. They want to negotiate with us, and they want to continue building settlements and changing reality on the ground. And that's why all the rounds failed.
You've heard their argument as well, which is that there was a 10-month settlement freeze and nothing happened, and so they went back to settlements. And is there any way to get both sides back without any preconditions?
You see, that they said that they wanted us to negotiate face-to-face without precondition. We did that in the month of September of the year 2010, when President Barack Obama asked us to do that. We met in Washington face-to-face, we met in Sharm el-Sheikh face-to-face, and we met in the residence of Prime Minister Netanyahu face-to-face, without conditions, as he wanted. In these 3 rounds of discussions and negotiations, we did submit in writing our thoughts and plans for all the final status issues, beginning with borders and security. They did not submit any proposal. That's when we negotiated without conditions, face-to-face. Then we went to 5 rounds of talks in Jordan, initially under the auspices of the quartet and the auspices of the foreign minister of Jordan. We did submit proposals in writing about borders and security, and they did not submit anything. So we tried them. We talked to them directly and face-to-face and without conditions, and they did not submit anything on the table. But what they did, they intensified their settlement activities, especially in and around occupied East Jerusalem, and they condoned the violence of the settlers, which is on the rise against our people, and they continued with their illegal blockade against our people in Gaza, and they continued with this behavior. So what should we believe? Their promises come and negotiate without conditions, which we did, or their behavior on the ground, which is more telling, and their behavior is illegal, and it is complicating the process of any serious negotiations. If they want
the UN Secretary General, on this trip said the settlements are not a positive development in terms of peace negotiations.
Are they listening?
Apparently there's still an impasse on both sides. Now, President Obama said very recently that that Israel cannot negotiate in good faith with a country that seeks its destruction, and that was a reference to Hamas. Explain to me, since there is apparently the unity agreement is not has not held. Right now, Israel negotiates with the PLO, correct? And that is Fatah. How would Fatah deal with Hamas if there were some kind of a settlement? Who would deal with the fact that this other entity is seeking Israel's destruction?
Well, first of all, that the official party responsible for negotiations with Israel is the PLO, which is like the government of Palestine. And it is the party that recognized Israel, and Israel recognized this party, which is the PLO. The internal issues regarding the Palestinians, that is the business of the Palestinians, because we do not go and interfere in the internal issues inside Israel. We don't say that we like to negotiate with the Labour Party, but we don't like to negotiate with Israel Baytuna, led by Foreign Minister Lieberman. That is the business of the Israelis.
Because Fatah does recognize the existence.
It is not Fatah. It is the Palestine Liberation Organization, which is the representative of the Palestinians, all of them in the occupied territory and outside the occupied territory, that is negotiating on behalf of the Palestinian people.
And did recognize the existence
and it did recognize
in
1993 Israel. So that issue is behind us. Now, once we reach a peace treaty between us and the Israelis, then the challenges would be not only for the Palestinians but also for Israel. Will we be capable of implementing the peace treaty that we agreed upon? If in our side there are problems, for example, with one area of Palestine, such as Gaza, then we will find that when we get there. If the Israeli government at that time cannot control and evacuate the 600,000 settlers, if we reach an agreement of the borders and that these settlements are illegal and need to be evacuated, then that challenge we will find out when we get there.
Israel has to deal with the settlers and Palestine has to deal with the different parties.
I'm just giving examples. We will be facing probably a host of challenges to first of all, to reach an agreement. Then after we reach an agreement, it is very possible that both sides would put the agreements for referendum to get approval from our people. Then after that, we will be put to the test, the government of Israel and the government of Palestine, with regard to the implementation of the provisions of this agreement.
Do you think a two-state, will you see in your lifetime or in mine a two-state solution?
I hope so, because I believe until this moment, that is the best solution for the two people.
And are talks stalled?
The talks are stalled, and the main reason for the talks not getting anywhere, simply because Israel is creating facts on the ground through the enterprise of the illegal settlement. You cannot have peace with the Palestinians when you take their land and build settlements in it. They are building settlements on our land, the occupied land, which is illegal from the point of view of international law.
You've mentioned there are alternatives. What's the alternative to a two-state solution?
You see that the Israeli side, they say that they want to have a state for the Jewish people, which is Israel, in which the majority are Jews. If you keep pushing the envelope to take the land of the Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza and East Jerusalem and build more settlements and have more settlers, then this action is destroying the two-state solution.
And what's the alternative?
If they destroy the two-state solution, then they are pushing in the direction of one-state solution. And what is the one-state solution? That the two people, the Palestinian people and the Israelis, the Jews in Israel, to be living in one democratic state in which the two populations are about the same in size. And in few years, the Palestinians will be more than the Jews inside that one state. And then therefore, the dream of the Zionists of having a state for the Jews will diminish. So they have to make up their mind. What do they want?
So there's time pressure on making an agreement.
But what I'm saying, their action is destroying the separation, destroying the two-state solution. We made the historic compromise some time ago when we accepted to build our state on 22% of historic Palestine. That is the area of the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem. If that historic compromise is not sufficient for the leaders of Israel, in which they are taking 78% of historic Palestine, and yet they want to take most of the West Bank, then they are pushing the envelope in the direction of the one-state solution.
And if your message to the Israelis to get back to the negotiation table or to make this happen, what would your message be?
You see, the big signal to show us that the Israelis are really serious about allowing our state to be independent and to live next to Israel in peace and security is to immediately stop all settlement activities. Settlements are illegal. What we are saying now, not to dismantle them now, we are saying stop settlement activities while we are negotiating, give us a positive signal so that we can open doors for the possibility of success of negotiation. Through negotiation, we will decide what to do with the settlements that are illegal and to decide on the borders. And once we agree to the borders, we will resolve many issues, including issues related to settlements, issues related to water, and issues related to East Jerusalem, not the holy city of Old Jerusalem, but East Jerusalem, the whole area. Now, if we agree, if they stop settlement activities, they send to us a positive signal that they will be willing to evacuate the occupied areas and to end occupation. That is the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem. And if they send that positive signal to us, it means that they are serious about negotiation with us. That would increase the chances of reaching a peace treaty, possibly by the end of this year, as the quartet requested from both sides.
And you think that's possible?
If there is a good faith effort from the Israeli side, it is possible, because we negotiated with previous Israeli administrations all these issues, and we almost reached understanding and agreement on all these issues. So if this current Israeli government is serious about peace and they want to reach an agreement with us and to look at everything that we negotiated, including from the time of President Clinton and President George W. Bush, then there will be a very good chance of possibly reaching something meaningful, if not by the end of the year, then very soon after that. But if they continue to create illegal facts on the ground and tell us, come and negotiate, it means that they want to buy more time while they are continuing to create facts on the ground. We are not interested in that kind of proposition. We tried it before. We've been trying it for the last almost 20 years, and instead of moving forward, the settlements are increasing in number, the settlers are increasing in number, the checkpoints are increasing, an illegal separation wall was erected, and we have a blockade against our people in Gaza, and East Jerusalem is being severed from the rest of the West Bank. So the situation is moving from bad to worse while we are negotiating. We need to change that kind of environment to an environment of serious negotiations and good faith negotiations to end the occupation that started in 1967 and to allow for the independence of the state of Palestine to live next to Israel in peace and security, and for us to join the community of nations as a full member at the United Nations.
Well, that sounds like a final positive note. So I could follow up all day, but thank you very much, Ambassador Mansour, and I look forward to following up with you. I'm Pamela Falk from CBS News, for CBS News from UN headquarters in New York.